hopefully everyone can see this fully. Using a resolution of 1600 by 1200, if you're looking at your ReadyTalk and you have a smaller screen, you may have to use the scroll bars to follow along within your web browser. So bear with me, and of course I'll try and point you in the right direction as I move along in this. Okay. So what are we looking at here? Well, first of all, I launched this application through Internet Explorer. All you require is a Flash player version 10 to be enabled for your web browsers. We support Internet Explorer, Firefox, Opera, and Safari. What we're looking at here is one of our test clusters. We call it QA cluster. Okay, it happens to be a Coherence 3.4.2 environment, but we support Coherence 3.3.1 and all the way up to 3.5, which has also just been recently released by Oracle. Okay, we're looking at approximately 4 dozen JVMs. These 4 dozen JVMs consist of a number of storage nodes and proxy nodes, and also client nodes. Okay. In my environment, I also have about 2,000 Extend TCP sessions running across 8 servers. By the way, some of the KPIs that we track across the board are related to memory allocation of the storage cluster, node counts, as you can tell, object counts, cache counts, and these are all aggregated at a high level for you to see at this particular instance. You can also certainly customize or fine-tune some of these views. So, for example, if you're not using Extend TCP in your environment, you can turn off some of these fields right here and basically customize these fields that you see here in a way that you see fit. Furthermore, this little chart that you see below is just a sneak preview of what's happened over the past hour for any of these KPIs. So, for example, if we look at how many storage nodes joined the cluster or left the cluster, well, it's been pretty flatlined over the course of the past hour. Okay, and object counts, you would probably see in our environment we have some writers and readers that are connected to the cluster that are constantly doing work in our cluster. Okay. Okay, very good. I am going to show you now the upper right-hand corner, which happens to be our event viewer. Okay. The events that you're seeing here are completely driven based on the adapter. The adapter synthesizes events based on the behavior of your cluster. Okay. Some of these events don't come from the log files. These events are detected based on how different nodes or how different M-beams are registered or unregistered in the Coherence cluster. Okay, and if I scroll down here, you'll see events are categorized based on various severities: normal, minor, and some major. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to simulate a node failure. All right. So what I mean by that is I'm going to go ahead and take down some storage nodes offline so we can see what's going on. So let me go ahead and bring up a client here where we can go ahead and simulate this. So as everyone can see, I have some storage nodes and some proxy nodes running on this particular Solaris box. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and kill a few storage nodes and see what happens in this environment. Okay. Let's take down this process and this process. Now, everyone just kind of keep in mind. that this Solaris box is actually 111. So you'll see nodes departing from that particular host. Okay, so I'm going to let things happen. I'm going to go ahead and continue, and we'll see things happening on the screen. And of course, you'll see what else happens throughout the rest of this console. So first off, what am I looking at? I have about 7 tabs here, or 8 tabs here, that actually show you information about what's going on from a real-time perspective of the cluster. And the cluster dashboard displays to you information in 2 dimensions. One is based on storage node counts and proxy node counts, and also memory allocation of your cluster. One of the most important things to see here is obviously you don't want any fluctuations within your node counts. You don't expect to see that happen, but if you see nodes bouncing back and forth, then you'll see these lines go up and go down. Okay. As you can see now, just recently, as I took down those few nodes, the node count went from 43 down to right here, 41. Okay. And guess what? There was an event that transpired here. Well, we automatically annotate these charts with the same events. So if I want to find out what exactly happened, I can actually see what happened at this point in time. And also, so for example, when I clicked on that 24 bookmark, that 24 bookmark indicated that a node left the cluster. Now, at Evident in our test environment, we name out nodes, and everyone has the capability of doing that using the Coherence overrides. Okay, you can configure the role names, the process names, machine names, site names, rack names, which, if people aren't doing that now, it may be a good idea to do that. This is how we're able to differentiate what nodes are in the environment, or at least the names of the nodes. Otherwise, you're just going to see process IDs. Now, as a result of the node leaving, what you will see is that this storage node is no longer going to cache data for certain named caches that it's holding data for, and therefore there is a rebalancing event in the cluster itself. Okay, and as a result of that, there may be some performance hit of your cluster while it does that rebalancing on certain nodes. Okay. Now I'm scrolling down using this scroll bar on the right-hand side of the event viewer to show you, all the rebalancing events that are happening. And again, another node also has left the cluster, node C. Okay, and therefore there was another rebalancing event. See, node C left the cluster. Okay. So now, as a result of that, these are the events that we synthesized, and certainly you will get these in SNMP traps. You will get them in emails, and you also have them visually here. And furthermore, you can also receive it via a customized event handler plugin, which I'll talk about later. Okay, so if any of those methods are not available to, not sufficient email or SNMP notifications, then we have the ability for you to provide your own custom hooks into our product that you can actually inject into the code, okay, into our product. So let's get back to the cluster dashboard. And what I have set here is that you can see that there was a dip that happened right here. And you can see that this line here, this boundary line, dropped from basically roughly about 5.5 gigs of storage memory now back to 5.25 of storage memory available, obviously because 2 nodes dropped out. In my test run, my JVMs are very small, so that's why you see a slight drop for just 2 JVMs. If I had 1 gig JVMs for my environment, you obviously will see a much more significant drop. Okay, now let's look at this chart here. What's interesting is that you see this line down here. Well, look at this. It has orange and yellow and blue colors. Well, let me go ahead and show you what it really originally looks like. Okay, well, it's typically all blue like this. Okay, it shows you how much memory is available over time. Okay, so as you have increased activity in your named caches for over time, you can see how much storage memory available you have. And make sure you have enough of that 40% headroom that Oracle recommends for your data grid. Okay, and that's a helpful measurement here. Now, I can see that there were violations that took place. So what were those violations, and how do they show up here? Well, they show up looking at these color lines. So if I put my mouse over this line right here, I can see that at this point in time that there was a violation that fell below a low watermark that I've set. Okay, so for example, storage memory free, I wanted to have a low watermark set to be 2.3 gigs, and then even another low watermark for about 2 gigs. Okay, the yellow indicates here minor severity, the orange indicates major severity, and the red indicates a critical severity. So that means if any of the KPIs fall below or above these watermarks, then there would be a threshold violation. Okay, what that would actually trigger notifications via SNMP or SMTP or through the custom event handler. Okay, visually this is how we display this information over time. So in this case, you can see that if the line went above a particular high watermark, then it's not a problem because that's what I've set here. Anything fall below will get colored appropriately. Okay, these can change on the fly. You can configure these. If I could change these settings right now, we could probably have no violations whatsoever. Okay, so hopefully that explains how thresholds work within Evident ClearStone Live, and I'll show you a couple more use cases of that. The other thing I want to show you from this screen is that the flight data recorder capability. So if I want to look at what my environment looked like 4 hours ago, I can take the scroll bar at the very bottom of the screen and move it to the left. Okay, you can see where there were threshold breaches and where there weren't threshold breaches. Okay, so like I said, 4 hours ago, I'm going to go ahead and go back roughly about 8 o'clock in the morning Eastern time, which is what you see here. Okay, very easy to use, no queries whatsoever, just a matter of dragging the mouse.